Hi guys, this is Mrs. Gladstone, and I'm reading Chapter 3 in the Romeo and Juliet Code. The next day the sky darkened to a miserably gray, and endless sheets of rain fell and the ocean tossed about like something terrible and unhappy and restless. I had nothing to do but walk here and there looking at the house. The dining room and sitting room at the front were dark, or at least there were long velvet curtains covering the windows, so you could hear the ocean all around you. But you couldn't see it unless you peeked through the curtains, which I did. I stood behind them, looking down and out at the water and the rain. I was standing there missing Winnie and Danny. I was writing a letter to them, leaning my paper against the window and watching the rain blur over the glass. Dear Winnie and Danny, I miss you already. You didn't exactly tell me when you were coming back. What does soon mean? I do wish you wouldn't go home to London because of the war and the bombs and all that. I know you said not to send letters to our flat because they wouldn't get through, and to keep them in a box until you get back, but I should like to post this letter. Where should I send it? There's a telephone on the landing here, but no one uses it. Will you ring me up, please? Love, Felicity. P.S. To be cheerful, I should say I've been putting my hair in plaits as usual. I've started calling them braids, like you do, Danny. So far, I've been hearing a lot of Danny words like flashlight and antsy. The Graham asked me yesterday if I've always been antsy by nature. Have I? I wasn't hiding, honestly, because British children on the whole never hide or snitch or lie. But it turned out no one knew I was behind the curtains. I was terribly sorry to be sneaking about by mistake. Quite by accident, I heard the Graham say to Uncle Gideon in the hall, "So how are you holding up with the child being here?" "Oh, I guess I feel like I'm being ripped to pieces," said Uncle Gideon. "Well, you better take this tray up to Captain Derrick before she comes downstairs." So guys, right now I'm reading this in my car, so that's why you might see my car sometimes while I'm waiting for Mr. Gladstone. Okay, who's Captain Derrick, I wonder? I stood there ever so quietly behind the curtains, trying not to snore or sneeze or cry, hoping I wouldn't get hiccups, thinking to myself, ripped to pieces because of me? And who is Captain Derrick? Is there an old sea captain hidden away somewhere upstairs? Why didn't Winnie and Danny tell me? I pressed myself against the window until Uncle Gideon had gone upstairs with the dishes clattering on the breakfast tray, and the Graham had disappeared into the back rooms behind the kitchen. How could Winnie and Danny have left me here with an uncle who was angry with them and a sea captain I knew nothing about tucked away somewhere in the house, and a door I had to steer clear of, and a sky that only rained? I folded the letter and put it in my pocket, and I went out into the hall, and I opened the front door. I looked far off and away where the edge of the sky touched the water. Everything was all clouded and darkened and blurry with rain. "Oh, there she is," said the Graham. "You scared us. We didn't know where you were." I turned around, and the Graham and Auntie Miami were standing there behind me. Gideon was bringing the breakfast tray back downstairs, the toast and eggs on the plate untouched. Gideon was so tall, with a great bunch of reddish-brown hair. And, for some reason, that made me notice his eyes. I tried to avoid them, but they seemed to be everywhere, watching me. On the whole, I am quite shy until you get to know me. And then, when he says, I can be rather rambunctious, whatever that means. Rambunctious. Well, that means kind of a bit of energy and a little disruptive. I do try to be very proper, the way my Winnie always said I ought to be, though sometimes I can't help myself quiet. I can't keep myself quiet. Sometimes whatever it is that wants to pop out of my mouth goes right ahead and pops. "Excuse me," I said. "I'm frightfully sorry, but is there a captain of some sort upstairs somewhere?" Uncle Gideon looked at me with sorry surprise then, as if I were a glass jar he had just dropped and broken by mistake. Wow, this is great figurative language there, huh? Aunt Miami bit her lower lip. She was clutching a little book against her heart and wearing a lovely soft silk party dress. She seemed always to be ready to attend a party. The Graham looked at Aunt Miami and then at Uncle Gideon. Their eyes all went round and round to each other and then back to me like bumblebees, stuck on the wrong side of the window glass, knocking against the same useless spot over and over and over again. Then finally Uncle Gideon said, well, yes, Hang on. Actually, Captain Derek is here. He cleared his throat again, somewhere. Oh, he'll be coming out of his room soon, said Aunt Miami. Perhaps he'll be down for dinner, said the Graham. Of course he will. Or breakfast tomorrow, said Uncle Gideon, nodding his head up and down. Then the Graham pushed her face into Uncle Gideon's large shoulder, and he patted her hair gently and shut his eyes very tightly. I put my hand on the letter in my pocket. I didn't know how to send it, but I was not going to cry. I decided to look up at the ceiling, hoping to find something terribly interesting up there that would help. But ceilings never offer any assistance. They are usually very plain. This one was dark and too far away to see anything except shadows. I decided I was not going to talk any more at all. I turned round completely so I was facing the wall. Never mind about Derek for just now, said Uncle Gideon. The Graham has made muffins this morning, haven't you, Mother? Oh, well, have you ever tasted one of the Graham's muffins? Asked Aunt Miami. Oh, said Uncle Gideon. There's no other word to describe them. Oh is the perfect word. Won't you come and try one, please? When I finally did turn back around, Uncle Gideon was looking up at me with his brown eyes tilted down. Then he wiped his face nervously with a handkerchief. They're made with almonds and a secret ingredient that the Graham won't divulge. She won't tell a soul, not even the President of the United States. That's right, said the Graham. Please, said Uncle Gideon. Oh, excuse me. Please, Uncle Gideon said again. Very well, then I shall try one bite, I said, looking up the long stairs for a sign of Captain Derek. But all I saw were endless steps going round and up and around and up to the next floor, and then beyond to my windy tower room at the top of the house. Aunt Miami went over to the open door and leaned her head against the screen, looking out at the slappy, wet, rainy gray sea. She sighed, and then she opened her book and started reading aloud. O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name? Or if thou wilt not, but be sworn, my love, and I no longer be a catapult. Isn't it a lovely passage, she said. So poetic, so dreamy.